I have been looking forward to Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 for a long time. I loved the first game when it released back in 2017, and now the second game has finally released, and I'm gonna get the Platinum Trophy. This took me well over 140 hours to get through, and is easily one of the most immersive games I have ever played. There are 49 trophies in total, 14 related to the main story, 8 related to side quests, and 24 miscellaneous, and of course the Platinum at the end. And to begin, we start with the story.
What's that you keep yelling, Sir Hans?
Good gracious, Henry, you don't mean to tell me you don't know Latin?
We start with our main character, Henry, originally the son of a blacksmith in his hometown of Skalitz until it was attacked by Markvart von Aulitz and his army, leaving his parents dead. The sword his father/not father had created for a lord called Radzig Cobbler, who is Henry's real father, was also stolen and came into the possession of one Istvan Toth. Henry is placed into the service of Hans Capon, Lord of Ratai, and is tasked with the delivery of a message to Otto von Bergov, Lord of Trusky, regarding an alliance between themselves.
My word. That is fucking impressive. It makes Perkstein look like an outhouse. Bergov must be made of money.
But they are stopped along the way by the Trusky Captain Thomas and warns them about bandits in the area before leaving.
We're not enemies. We're carrying a message with the aim of putting a stop to the hostilities.
And who are you?
Henry, from Skalitz.
As they camp for the night, we have a friendly sparring match with Hans, and this is where we unlock our first trophy, Deja Vu, for defeating him. As Henry and Hans take a dip in the water to clean, the rest of the party is attacked by bandits, and they witness a man with heavy armour kill one of his own men for attempting to assault a girl wearing blue, leaving Henry and Hans to escape by swimming across the lake. But they run into bandits on the other side, leaving Henry to fight a lone bandit before falling off of the edge of the cliff. Hans helps Henry, and we witness the events of the first game through Henry's hallucinations, including the assault on Henry's home and the murder of his parents.
Where am I?
Where would you be? Here in my cabin, where you and that pal of yours burst in last night.
Henry eventually wakes up inside the hut of an old lady who has attempted to nurse Henry and Hans back to health. After leaving, Henry and Hans head to Trusky Castle to deliver the message to Otto von Bergov. However, as the two have lost all of their belongings, they appear as peasants and are ejected from the main entrance.
Shit!
They head down the road into the nearby town of Truskowitz and look for a way into the castle to speak to von Bergov, and they overhear talk about a local wedding, and hear that Otto von Bergov will be attending.
If you want to speak to him, the best place would be Samin's wedding. He'll be there. For sure.
However, Hans gets into an argument with a local, and a fistfight breaks out, leaving both Henry and Hans locked in a pillory overnight.
Keep your mouth shut and don't make it worse.
They argue and go their separate ways in the morning, both looking for a way to get into the wedding.
I'll look after myself. I'll go and see Lord von Bergov at the wedding. I bid you farewell.
And we unlock the trophy This Won't End Well for completing the intro to the game. Henry finds work with a local blacksmith and a shady miller with promise of an invite into the wedding, which he eventually gets. The wedding goes smoothly, even meeting up with Hans again inside. However, Otto von Bergov fails to appear, making the entire reason for Henry's entry pointless.
Von Bergov's not coming, so why stay here? I'll congratulate the newlyweds and go.
Henry goes to congratulate the newlyweds, however the groom Alder has left, leaving the bride in tears. A drunken guest sees Henry consoling her and starts an argument, escalating into a big brawl. This leads to Henry and Hans being locked up in Trusky Castle. Henry is let go to work off his punishment within the castle. However, Hans remains as he is being charged with poaching, a capital crime with the punishment of execution.
That bell's tolling for you, mate. 12 more times, and the priest will come for you.
Henry rushes to try and help Captain Thomas, who he met at the beginning and would recognise him, to attempt to convince the Chamberlain running in Otto's absence that Hans is a noble, which apparently means he isn't allowed to be executed. Henry finds Thomas and provides a healing tonic. However, it seems it's too late as Hans is being escorted to the gallows for his execution. Henry tries to convince the Chamberlain to stop, but it falls upon deaf ears.
Dead! You can't execute this man. He's a noble. Captain Thomas.
Things look bleak, however, von Berghoff arrives injured and stops the execution.
Open the gates!
Take him down!
And when they go and speak to von Berghoff, we unlock the A Bird in the Hand trophy for saving Hans. Henry and Hans meet with von Berghoff and are given the task to head to Nebekov Fortress to deliver a message, where Henry discovers that it has been taken over by bandits, and gaining the Old Raven trophy for finding the actual lord imprisoned there. Upon returning to Trotsky, von Berghoff wants us to get information out of one of the bandits that attacked him. We go down and find out that Nebekov Fortress was taken over by the same bandits that attacked Henry and Hans, and that older Semyon, the groom from the wedding, was involved. Henry convinces Berghoff to leave Semyon alone as the rest of the people there had no involvement, and this unlocks the Silence is Golden trophy for doing so. So Henry, Hans and von Berghoff's army head out for Nebekov Fortress instead, with a large group to take the fortress back. However, on the way, the group is ambushed, and Henry and Hans fight their way through to a small village, and come face to face with the leader. Henry challenges him to a duel and wins. However, Henry and Hans are still taken prisoner. We now change POV to a man called Godwin, a former priest and friend of Hans and Henry, and he's been tasked with finding the pair after they failed to return home. He finds out about the two and they've been told that they were killed. He rushes to the battle site and finds a group led by a man called Eric, and is told what happened, and that both Henry and Hans have been captured by them.
Captain took some prisoners with him, but I've no idea if it's them.
They are suddenly attacked by another group, and Godwin helps Eric in exchange for being able to see Hans and Henry. Soon after arriving, a rebellion breaks out within the camp. Godwin helps again and is allowed to see Henry and Hans.
If you help me, I'll let them go.
Meanwhile, Henry and Hans are both imprisoned at the Nebekov Fortress, when Istvan Toth, the man who has Henry's sword, enters.
You! Tough! You swine! You're lucky I can't get to you, you treacherous cunt! Back at me, you dog! Who the hell do you think you are? Where's my sword?
Henry's reaction to Toth seems to set alarm bells in Jan Zizka, the leader of the bandits at Nebekov, and due to this, Toth is also imprisoned.
Throw him in the cell with Nebak.
I'm sure you'll get on just fine together.
After a heated exchange between Toth and Henry, Eric comes into the prison and releases Toth,
There'll be time when we meet again.
and they both flee. Turns out the rebellion was from Eric. A short while later, Godwin enters and frees Henry and Hans, and then they talk to Jan Zizka. Upon resting for the night, Henry awakes to panic. Von Berghoff, along with Istvan Toth and Markvart von Aulitz, the man who raided Henry's home, arrive with an army to take the fortress. A big battle rages between the two sides when finally the invaders breach the castle, leaving Henry, Hans, Jan and Godwin with no choice but to head into the top of the tower.
Everyone back to the tower! Now!
It's then when von Berghoff unleashes his new weapon. Finger of God, a siege cannon. They fire the cannon and destroy the top of the tower and take everyone prisoner. Everyone is taken to Trotsky Castle while Hans goes with von Bergov to an unknown location. Henry, Godwin and Jan are placed into a chamber and Istvan Toth attempts to get information out of them by force. Eventually, Godwin gives in and tells them the information they want to know regarding Allied lords to retire. A quick pause here, if you're kind of lost, I was and still am. This is kind of like Game of Thrones where names get thrown about without a ton of context. So I've tried to keep this a bit more basic, which means leaving out a bunch of info and giving a basic overview. Otherwise this video would last about 4 hours. So anyway, they're freed by the same woman in blue at the start of the game, and Henry makes his way through the castle with the aim of retrieving his belongings, the orders to von Bergov from King Sigismund, and to take out Istvan Toth.
What are you waiting for? Let's finish this.
First up, Henry faces down Toth in a duel, eventually winning and taking back the sword his father made. And we unlock the trophy Vengeance for taking him out. We then gather our belongings and meet up with Godwin to find the letter and head down into a secret tunnel to escape. Henry heads out of the tunnel into the night while being hunted down by the remaining guards. He makes his way to a waiting cart and heads out of the area. He eventually arrives in the Kuttenberg region, the second map of the game, and we unlock the New Horizons trophy for doing so. Henry eventually arrives in the village of Sukdal and its fortress, and he meets with an allied lord, Jobst of Moravia, to discuss what happens next. Jobst seems to want to sit and wait, which does not please Jan Žižka. He helps Henry make plans to free Hans Capon, and he and Henry head to a tavern to gather more information. They arrive and get involved in a fight, helping one of the Zan's old gang members, Kubayenka. After this, we help set up an ambush and free another member called Dry Devil, and soon we rescue the other members. 2 of them alive and 1 of them dead, and the other 2 just don't want to rejoin. And after finding them all, we unlock the Dirty 7 trophy. With Jan's old gang ready to go, we head to Kuttenberg, a large city, and meet up with the girl in blue again. Her name is Catherine, to gather information about where another noble is, von Liechtenstein, to help free Lord Capon. We eventually find Liechtenstein, who is under the protection of a man called Samuel, and he tells us that von Bergov recently seized a fortress called Malakov from a noble family called the Ruthards, and surmises that Capon must be hiding there.
And if von Bergov is there...
That's where his captive will be.
Correct. Capon is at Malashov Fortress.
Henry heads over to the Ruthard mansion in Kuttenberg and witnesses Kunzelin Ruthard and the Kuttenberg Mintmaster Vavek in an argument. Eventually, Rosa, Ruthard's daughter, fires a crossbow into Vivek's men.
What are you waiting for? Can't you see? They're threatening the Royal Mintmaster.
And a fight breaks out. With Henry's assistance, the Ruthard house win, and we ask Kunzelin for help in infiltrating his old fortress. And Henry is told of a secret entrance into the fort. We head to Malakov Fortress and use its secret entrance to sneak in and rescue Hans. And also another noble being held there called Vakwin Babrant. And on the return back to the Ruthard mansion, we unlock the Tales of Kuttenberg trophy for getting back Rosa's book. The group plan to take von Bergov as a hostage by assaulting Malakov Fortress, and do so. To siege the castle, a plan is formed to steal the Finger of God cannon from Sigismund's military camp, where we unlock the Hydra's Head trophy for killing 3 commanders there. And Henry's group use the cannon to assault the fort and take von Bergov. It's here where we unlock the No Good Deed trophy for saving the local town from being raided. The group seize von Bergov and bring him back to Sukdal Fortress, where he discusses changing sides. Heading back to Kuttenberg, Henry meets up with the Ruthard family and gets more information. King Sigismund, allied to Henry's enemies, coming to Kuttenberg to talk to the local council. Henry wants to attend the meeting and does so under the guise of a wine waiter for the party. It's there when Sigismund said that he has sent an invasion force to Sukdal Fortress to arrest a lord that they oppose. Another pause here, my capture card had a bit of a brain aneurysm here for this bit of footage. I didn't notice until I was done with the mission, unfortunately, but it's fine afterwards. It's then when King Sigismund's forces attack, and we gain the trophy Die Another Day for saving Godwin's brother. Henry arrives as the battle is taking place, but Sigismund's forces take multiple lords hostage before he can get there. With most of the support for the rebels now captured, Henry and the others struggle to come up with a plan. It's then when von Liechtenstein has the idea of hiring a mercenary army, and to fund it, they need to steal all of the silver in the Kuttenberg treasure. So a heist plan is made, and they decide to try and blackmail an Italian cardinal to get them in. They find him and chase him down. Unfortunately, he is killed in the process, unlocking the Martyr trophy at the same time. So Godwin, unwillingly disguised as the Italian cardinal, goes in with Henry, Hans, and the others dressed as Italian soldiers into the Italian quarter of the city where the silver is being held. Godwin resolves a religious conflict and unlocks the trophy True Cardinal for doing so, while Henry and the others work to get the other members of the heist team into the area by breaking down a wall in the tunnels underneath. The group rush into the room where the meeting is being held and hold everyone else inside while they go and loot the silver from the vault and rescue the lords being held hostage. After looting everything, a force approaches the walls. It's Eric and his army.
I'll skin you alive, you cur!
He assaults the area before retreating, and we make our way through the tunnels. However, when we get back to the Routard mansion, we witness Brabant attempting to betray the group and steal the silver for himself. We fight off his guards and rescue the silver, driving it back via the cart to Sigdal Fortress. With the silver secure and the lords returned, things look good for our group. However, an army led by von Aulitz and von Bergov, who escaped the previous night, soon sets up camp outside. As they talk, Dry Devil fires a crossbow bolt into von Aulitz, wounding him. This leaves any room for negotiation removed, leaving Sigdal Fortress under siege. And attack after attack occur during a multiple-week siege, leaving the people inside starving. This leaves them only one option: to send someone over the wall to get help. Henry, of course, volunteers for the job and sets off with Samuel to get help. During this, Henry heads into Sigdal village and finds von Aulitz inside the tavern, still wounded and dying. They talk, and von Aulitz wants to die on his own feet, which Henry obliges, and we unlock the face-to-face trophy for finding him in Sigdal. After this, Henry and Samuel escape on horseback to find help. Back to Sigdal Fortress, and we change point of view back to Godwin, and it's another attack during the siege. They fight them back, but enemy forces start to overwhelm the defenders. But as things seemed bleak, a line of horsemen appear on the horizon. It's Lord Radzig and his allies with Henry, and they charge down the hill into the enemy, overwhelming them. The fight continues into the fort, and eventually the enemy is destroyed, saving the fort and those inside. However, it's one day too late, as the silver was taken the previous day. But with victory earned, Henry dreams of a conversation with his mother and not father before going to talk to his actual father and giving him the sword he was entrusted in delivering at the very beginning of the first game. And with that, the game ends and the credits roll, and we unlock the trophy, The End, for beating the story. But there are many trophies left for us to get, starting with some side quests. We have Man's Best Friend for recruiting Henry's old dog Mutt, Truce for helping two villagers put an end to their rivalry, an Old Friend for helping find our old horse Pebbles, a Knight's Word for gifting the old herb woman who saved us at the start of the game for helping us, Henry the Bruiser for beating the Fight Club missions in the Trotsky region, Henry the Matchmaker for bringing Victoria her sweetheart, Penitent One for making a pilgrimage, Master of Masters for defeating Zavish in 3 duels, Under a Brown Flag for hanging a pair of underwear as a flag in a tavern, Remember Remember for throwing a barrel of gunpowder into a fire, and Been There, Done That for completing most of the game's missions, which is apparently about 95% of them. And for the rest of the miscellaneous trophies, we have Jack of all trades for completing every minigame at least once, Bohemian Sniper for taking out an enemy with a crossbow via a headshot at long range, Fancy Fighting for killing an enemy with a combo, Shiny for winning a gold badge in a game of dice, Rock and Stone for taking out an enemy with a dropped boulder, Reforged for reforging your father's sword, Without Protection for destroying a shield, Under Pressure for winning 3 fights while bleeding, Nimble Fingers for picking a very hard lock, Overkill for taking out a rabbit with a gun, Weapon of Choice for killing an enemy with every single weapon type, Groschen Must Flow for spending 10,000 Groschen, Lights Out for performing a stealth kill on an enemy while they are searching for you, Slip the Noose for talking your way out of an execution, Canny Shooter for winning the Miners Archery contest without missing a target, Original Gunslinger for having 4 loaded guns equipped, Hick Hick Boom for attempting to make a gunpowder while drunk, The Lord Taketh Away for losing 10,000 Groschen, My Shoes for having your shoes stolen while passed out drunk, and High Noon for shooting an enemy who is also wielding a gun. And normally this would be the Platinum Complete, however I missed a trophy, and that trophy is called Lent, which requires you to beat the entire game without killing any animals or eating meat, which I mistakenly did about 20 minutes in the game after eating a sausage. So I went and played the game a second time, and after a quick 15-hour playthrough, I finally unlocked the Lent trophy, and of course the final trophy, Kingdom Came the Platinum. And if you're still here, thanks for watching. I cannot state enough at just how incredible that I thought this game was. I put in 145 hours in total, and while it does have some glitch issues, especially the lighting on a normal PS5, I did manage to put those all aside, and I loved every second of it. And this has been by far the longest I've spent recording a video, and I hope you enjoyed it.